Independent US Senator Joe Lieberman blames both Democrats and Republicans over a deadlock on averting the so-called fiscal cliff.
There are groups within both great political parties who are defending the status quo, who don't want the situation as it exists now, which has created this $16.5 trillion of debt, to change. But we can't go on this way, because if we do, we already are putting an enormous burden on generations of Americans to follow and paying off the debt that we have incurred.
Lieberman's comments in the Senate follow reports that lawmakers in the US House may not vote on any deal before the midnight deadline. Early in the day, President Barack Obama said a deal to prevent the New Year's steep tax hikes was close but not done. The last-minute talks are only dealing with tax policy and do not address huge spending cuts that will also hit on January 1st. Now all eyes are on House lawmakers to vote for a deal on New Year's Day in order to prevent the worst of the fiscal cliff. Well, from Florida, I'm joined by Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, former Assistant Secretary of US Treasury. Welcome to the program, sir. Dr. Roberts, no vote reached on the deal to avert a fiscal cliff, and now it seems many Americans have become, figuratively speaking, cliffhangers. So what now, do you think?
Well, I think that next week they will work it out. They've made an agreement on the tax side, and the spending side will be more difficult. The Republicans will try to use it to cut the social safety net and not to reduce the wars or the military budget. And this will cause a continuing disagreement. But we should be clear about one thing, and that is that the amount of savings involved in the fiscal cliff is not very great compared to the annual increase in the debt of the United States. They're talking only about reducing by about 10% the growth in the national debt. So it's not really important from the standpoint of dealing with the problem of the debt. It's been made into a big media event, and it's important in some sense for the Republicans to make their political propaganda about the need to cut spending on the social safety net. But it's not important in terms of actually reducing the growth of the United States national debt.
Indeed. And I mean, in the 4 years of Obama's presidency, we saw a $4 to $5 trillion increase in the national debt. How is he going to fare in this new term, especially when it comes to financial terms?
Well, you see, the corporations have offshored millions of well-paying United States jobs. And when those jobs are moved offshore, for example, to India, to China, the tax base goes with them. So the corporations, maximizing their profits by hiring the cheapest labor in the global market, have hurt the tax revenues of the United States government. But the Republicans are on the side of the corporations, so they won't do anything about that. And the other big cost is the wars. The United States has been at war now for 11 years for no reason that anyone can understand. It's all done entirely to produce profits for the military security complex. There's no reason for the wars in Afghanistan or Iraq or Syria or Libya or Yemen or Somalia or Pakistan, where they're always attacking. The only reason for these wars is to produce revenues for the armaments industries. But the Republicans won't stop that either. So when you have moved offshore so much of the economy, and when you burden the rest of the economy with wars, and I might add, bailouts of the rich bankers, you have big deficits. And those are the real issues, and they are not being addressed.
Indeed. We'll have to leave it there for the time being. Many thanks to Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, former Assistant Secretary of US Treasury from Florida. Thanks for your thoughts, sir, and a Happy New Year to you.